My name is Andy Cruzati. I'm the general manager at the Corner Bar here in Miami, downtown Miami, and I take lead in the cocktail program here at the Corner. We're going to be going over the cocktail called the Midnight in Jalisco for Cigar Snob magazine. Originally, I developed this cocktail specifically for the Corner and for our quarterly cocktail menu. But it was actually inspired from also Mexico, funny enough. And I wanted to use, that's why, if you think about like the actual name of the cocktail, it's got like Midnight in Jalisco. Jalisco is a city in Mexico. And then I decided to use mainly all Mexican ingredients, one of them being Mexican Coca-Cola, that, you'll see that as an ingredient, the reduction that we're using, that the flavor that really comes through in the cocktail. And then I'm using also Fernet Valet, that's also a product of Mexico, and the Amaro de Angostura, which is also a product of Amaro Valet, which is also a product of Mexico. One thing that a lot of people don't know is, you can reduce anything into a syrup if it's made from actual real sugar. So Mexican Coca-Cola, the difference between, say, a canned Coke and a bottled Mexican, it has to say product of Mexico, is that it really truly does have cane sugar. So what you can do with that is then you can, put it in a pot and then reduce it down, boil it, and then, simmer it down to a syrup. Add a little bit more sugar, and then that actually thickens, and then you're able to then, preserve the flavor of the Coca-Cola. And then, with this cocktail in particular, added some brandy cherries. And it's a whole take of, the Fernet and Coke, but, kind of taking it to the next level, and, making all ingredients, made in-house, and then being able to, take certain Amaros and liqueurs that maybe a lot of people aren't familiar with. Like, a lot of people are familiar with Fernet Branca, but a lot of people don't know that there are all different types of Fernets, and Valet being one of them. So it is 3/4 of an ounce of Fernet Valet. Since it is a take on the Fernet and Coke, you want that Fernet to really come through. And then you're doing 1/4 ounce of the Amaro Valet, which is of bark of Angostura, and then 1/4 of the Cynar 70, which is a little bit higher proof as well. And then you're cutting it with lemon juice, which makes the cocktail a little bit brighter. And then you're adding 2 ounces of the Mexican Coca-Cola. The flavors that I wanted to come through in this cocktail was the Mexican Coca-Cola and then the Fernet, to give you that idea of Fernet and Coke. It tastes more like a spirit-forward cocktail, even though it has, as we just went through the specs, like, the syrup is the highest, count in the cocktail. But I would say when you first drink it, you get, the bitterness that's coming through from the Angostura, the bitterness that's coming through from the Fernet, but then the sweetness of the Coca-Cola then really brings the cocktail, really, brings it together. Same thing with the lemon, giving it more of like a refreshing, this is something that I think you can really drink all year round, whether it's in the winter, or middle of the summer in Miami. And that's why, I believe it's a true testament to like a balanced cocktail that still has, like some sort of history, and true, like, bold flavors. Well, I think one thing that I noticed, similar to a lot of like cocktail tasting or spirit tastings, is that you might have, say, 3 or 4 what you think seem to be similar, maybe in appearance, and then you taste them and they taste completely different. The flavor notes and profiles that come through are completely different. That's one thing that I noticed right away with the cigars. Yes, all maybe might look in appearance a little bit similar. Even maybe some of the wraps looked maybe identical, and then you would take a drag and then you would taste, some of them were more peppery than others were more sweeter than others. Some I almost like I tasted like chocolate notes, which then really made me realize how good, why it makes sense that you can really pair a lot of cocktails, with cigars. Mostly, I would say, a lot of classics, with cigars.